we help businesses in Western Canada. We're based in Calgary here, but we help businesses become very agile. And that includes topics from business software to business technologies to just general business things in general. So that's the reason we came up with the title of Business Agility, and really helping people figure out what works best in their business. So just to kick it off, we'll just do some quick introductions, and I'll turn it back to you, Sam.
All right, cool. So for our first-time joiners today, my name is Samantha Knighton-DeForge. I've been working with Aqurus for a few years now. I hold a double major in information systems and business, and I've been working with Aqurus as the business solution specialist, really helping businesses become more efficient, streamlining tedious tasks, and really enhancing operations day to day, and really helping your customers grow their business, scale appropriately, and reduce as much overhead and unnecessary overhead as they possibly can. That's what I do.
Yes, and thank you for, yes. So Samantha's been with our team for about 2.5 years, and yeah, when we say business solution specialist, yeah, it's not just, she's not a salesperson. She's really there to make sure that people and companies can kind of figure out what works best in their business. I'm Murray Quibel. I'm the president of Aqurus Solutions, and we deliver cloud ERP, or enterprise resource planning software, to small and medium-sized businesses in Western Canada. What we look for are growing companies that really want to use technology to their advantage. What gets me excited every day is not just turning on the lights on an ERP system, but what people can do with it once they get there. And then what we've seen with older technologies in some cases is they hardly get to the place where we want them to start. And with the newer tools, you can start there. So get the thing up and running quickly, but then start to leverage new technologies. Some of the interesting things we have in the market or in the world these days are things like IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and those are things that are things that we can use to automate and streamline processes to make everybody most efficient. So our topic today is like I alluded to before we kicked off. It's what's on people's minds, and I really want to appeal to audience participation on this. So anyone in the audience, throw us a question, throw it in the chat, or if you're comfortable, turn your mic on and speak directly. But I would say,
I think I gotta let them speak. But if you are interested in voicing, or
okay,
having a conversation, we can do that too.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I want to demystify, Murray. You used all these crazy buzzwords right now, right? Things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and I think a lot of small and mid-sized businesses, when they think and hear those words, they think, oh my God, this is so not for me. This is so in and over my head, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that really needs to get demystified, because although it sounds really intense, it's really not, right? And I mean, this is a prime example of what we just saw Acumatica release in their latest version, right? Using artificial intelligence and machine learning to load in payables.
Yeah.
With scanning and PDF document, and then just syncing a button, and the payables and the invoice get synced into the system, and the system is reading all of the information and auto-populating it into an invoice that you can verify, and then hit a button and add it, right? That reduces that double entry, or having to have people manually go in and type in an invoice into a system, whether it's QuickBooks, whether it's Excel, whatever you're using. We obviously had the total cost of ownership podcast a couple weeks ago on the cost of ownership of Excel. But I guess that's kind of where my head's at, right? I think too many businesses are so intimidated by these buzzwords, but they're really they're there to make your life easier.
Yeah, and you're right. I did kind of mention 3 of them right off the top, and what we as a solutions provider company, the reason that we're around is to kind of translate some of those buzzwords and some of the technical pieces of software and devices into real things that a business can do every day. So great example, Samantha, you just mentioned about artificial intelligence. So people have heard of AI. So to take it a little bit further, what Samantha said is that the idea is that you might get an invoice from a supplier emailed to you. Well, the invoice has a certain amount of data, And what the example that Samantha mentioned is that just through the Acumatica product that we have, is that they have established a little bit of an artificial intelligence engine that where you can send that invoice to. So you can drag and drop it, or if you have any kind of automation, you can have it automatically feed there. But in the example of an emailed invoice, just kind of drag it and drop it there. But then there's an artificial intelligence engine that starts to learn what looks and feels like an invoice. So if it has language that says invoice number, if there's language that says vendor, and then this is where machine learning starts to kick in. So the artificial intelligence is able to automate something that typically is done by humans, but then the machine learning actually kind of takes it from there and runs with it even farther. So it starts to learn patterns, and it starts to help you even better. The other example we had is through expense receipts. So if you start to, if you take a picture on your phone, and if it looks and feels like a receipt, so it has dollars, maybe there's a company name or a credit card number or something like that, or it just references Visa or MasterCard, the system can start to say, it looks kind of like a receipt. And then if there's a dollar amount, and say, it probably is a dollar amount. But then it can start to learn from there. And so it can start to anticipate that if you're always going to Staples, that that's office supplies. Or if you're going to Limericks, that might be meals and entertainment. Not like we go there a lot or anything. Not anymore anyway.
You want to find the Aqurus team, that's where you're going to find us, Limericks or Kilkenny.
Used to be considered our south office, but now our offices are in our homes and stuff, which work fine. But I think the idea is that the system can start to learn, and you're just using the power of some of the other tools that are out there. So I do have an audience question. I don't know if is there any more that's come in, Samantha?
Well, I don't know. I just think, it's something that does need to be demystified a bit, right? It's just a little bit of reading, a little bit of education, and, finding that trusted advisor to really walk you through that whole
Yeah.
Well,
I guess the other thing I should mention before I get into there's one question I have right now, but before getting into that, I mentioned IoT. I didn't explain what that was, so that's bad for me. I used an acronym. So IoT is Internet of Things, and what that is that there's a lot of companies out there that are starting to develop technologies, and some of this has been around forever. So you might have an automated or electronic monitoring device, and it could monitor anything from water levels to, say, fluid levels in a pipeline. But the idea is that you can have a little device that's monitoring that, and it's feeding information. So there's lots of kinds of IoT devices. Even right now, you could consider cell phones IoT devices, because it's a device that is tracking you. It's sending information about your physical location, or maybe even what you're doing. But the idea is we have all these devices around, and we can put one on a little sensor in a warehouse or a sensor in an office, and you can start to determine occupancy levels. It can automatically adjust heat and cooling cycles, or it can also anticipate. One of the interesting things we've seen in a warehouse is if you start to walk up towards a shelf, it can start to know, I'm walking up to this shelf, and in this bin location, it typically has this part number, and then even as you pull the item off it, maybe you pull a couple of items off it, and it knows how much they weigh, so you can start to automate that whole transaction. So again, what we're trying to use this technology to help regular business processes become far more efficient through automation, and that's what this technology has the benefit of doing. And again, it's not pie in the sky stuff. This stuff is able to be done right now.
Well, I think when we talk about picking like that, let's walk before we run too, right? There's obviously companies that get there. Like, we have customers who actively use IoT devices, like you mentioned, to manage water pressure and water levels in water towers. Once they identify a leak, because that threshold's been hit, sends a notification. Cool, that's a great way to use IoT, but how can you use it for a customer perspective, right? I mean, I think oftentimes if you manufacture, a couple of our customers, electrical manufacturing, whatever the manufacturing might be, the distribution might be, let's say you want to track battery usage. Right? If you want to put a sensor on the battery usage, and when that battery starts, running low, it can send an email to that customer saying, hey, your battery's around 20%. You might want to consider ordering a new one. That automates your business. Like that's how a practical mid-sized company would use IoT.
Yeah, great example, because I think you can think of a battery or some kind of a maintenance type of thing. So if you're running
a wear and tear component.
Yeah, sir. If you're running a critical piece of equipment, if you have a critical piece like a battery, or if it's just normal wear and tear that it needs maintenance, and if you can anticipate that before a shutdown or a critical failure happens, that's what you're trying to do. Usually if you've got critical equipment, whether you're in any kind of a real-time operation, whether it's a forklift in your warehouse, or if you're in a large scale open pit mine, any of those trucks or pieces of equipment are absolutely critical, and it costs the dollar amount if they're down in downtime is staggering. So if you can anticipate, if you got maybe a $10 battery, and if you can start to anticipate when that's going to fail, or if you've got a bearing or something like that, and just track miles or kilometers or hours or anything like that, then all of a sudden you might have only cost you a few dollars or a few $100s, but you've mitigated possibly hundreds of thousands of failures. And again, that's what technology can help. If we translate into a small business that's selling goods out of a warehouse, again, what we can start to do is, if we've got, we don't even have to get that technical, but if we've just got a data set and we can start to analyze customer buying patterns, whether it's the type of customer, the type of product, or the pattern within the year, we can have the software help us generate sales. And that, again, that's not pie in the sky. All that's doing is saying this customer usually buys 3 computers, if that's your business, 3 computers on the 1st of September because their fiscal year is at the end of September and they got to use up their budget, for example. And then so if you say, historically the customers bought 3 PCs each of the last couple of years, well, maybe come at them with an offer, or come at a little text notification to your salesperson that says, hey, it's time to reach out to this guy. We know he's going to buy 3 PCs, but maybe we can offer something else. Maybe they'll buy 4 this year because their business has grown, or maybe there's some peripherals. Everybody is having Zoom meetings. We know that headsets like these, you can't find them at Staples anymore because everyone is having Zoom meetings. So maybe there's an opportunity to say, hey, what's going on in your business that we can help you out? But again, that's data. It's not really anything too pie in the sky around IoT or artificial intelligence. All we're doing is taking the data, looking for patterns, and then trying to translate that into a customer opportunity, or an opportunity to send some piece of information, a notification, an email or something to our salesperson to, hey, pick up the phone, have a call with this person because we know they're going to buy something. Let's just anticipate that and offer a kind of an over-the-top level of customer service.
Yeah, and that kind of comes back to, the conversation we had last week with our guest speaker, Dean McKeon. He was a Queen's University professor. You can check it out on our YouTube channel as well. But, it comes back to analytics. Again, another buzzword. But when we talk analytics, the one thing I like to, again, demystify is when we're talking and catering software solutions for the small to mid-market, right? This is our target audience. These are the types of businesses we target and we focus on: manufacturing, e-commerce, and distribution. Those are our verticals. That's what we help. That's where we specialize. We're the subject matter experts. We don't focus on construction. We don't do any of that. That's our nice spot. But when we talk about, like you mentioned, being able to forecast what a customer is going to buy, or being able to analyze those trends, or even just seeing it on a dashboard, logging into the system and having the information come to you instead of you having to go look for it. Comes back to the, how long does month end take you? How long does it take for you to generate an accounts receivables?
Yeah.
Right? And it comes back to that story where I had, it takes me 8 hours to generate a receivables report. What do you do? What are you living in the Stone Age, right? Like, that's to us, it's so mind-blowing that, so many businesses are out there and then, they're running a certain way and they think, Excel and QuickBooks, it's making it happen. Once you start growing, once it's time to grow, it is really time to use a system, but find that system to make sure it works for you and it gives you a return on investment. If it doesn't, there's no point in you switching. You need to validate that cost of ownership.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's not just standing still. I mean, if your business is looking to just stay stagnant and not grow, or not, acquire any new companies, or not bring on any new product lines, then you know what, you should stick with whatever systems you're using. And a lot of people are using spreadsheets or manual systems or kind of entry-level accounting systems. But if that's working well for you, or even older products, we were talking to a couple companies this year, or this week, and they were using some products that I haven't really heard of for 10 years. And it was like, wow, I mean, it's amazed that they're still using them, but the business is fine, right? I mean, it's working well. However, if they are looking to grow and you want to start to maybe use that technology to your advantage, and it's not so much to reduce staff, but it's to maybe either redeploy staff. But I always like to go on the sales side. Let's sell more. Let's deliver more value to your customer. And if the piece of software or piece of technology can help you do that, then there should be a positive return on that investment, and you should make a plan to do that.
Well, that
Okay,
also
I'm gonna throw a question to you, Samantha, because it's the audience question that I didn't get to. So the question said it's October 1st, and why do software companies always bundle discounts? Or why do always? Sorry, I should read the question specifically. It says, why do software companies discount based at the end of the quarter? And what's with that? So, and that, I know that's kind of.
Oh man, I don't know what it is, man. I think that, people, I think they're putting something in the water in Calgary, always at the end of the quarter, and then I have to, I'm faced to deal with it. But I think a lot of businesses are now realizing that, they have to buy, a system, and software companies, yeah, they'll discount. I mean, there's concessions on a lot, but I mean, we're not like a lot of our competitors, right? So when it comes to discounting, you're not going to get a 90% discount. It's just not going to happen because it's just not the case. But I don't know. I mean, I think everyone sort of goes through that phase, but it depends on who you're working with. I mean, from an Acumatica side of things, they want to make sure that our customer base continues to grow. People continue to use the best cloud ERP. People continue to use and leverage and grow their business. And they know and they understand that certain businesses are just not in that range to do it. But naturally, with any ERP system you're going to buy, you're going to grow your business. So I think maybe it's an opportunity to get a company off the ground and go from there.
What's with the, and maybe I'll throw my thought. What's with the end of the quarter thing? Like, what's with that? Is that something that we as a software industry are maybe throwing out there and that the customers are reacting to, or what do you
Well,
think?
and you know what? Yeah, I think it's, sometimes there are quarterly promotions, not always. I mean, we've seen a few come out with Acumatica because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
But think about it this way, like, I mean, Ford, I just bought a car yesterday. Until yesterday, they had employee pricing. And then in another quarter, they're going to have year-end clear out or whatever they do. And, I think every business operates that way. But whether or not, the promotion is there and it's in place, then it's another thing, right?
Okay.
Thanks, Belinda. She said, congrats on the car.
Oh,
Finally.
I throw us a question if you have. There's no sense throwing us accolades. We want questions. Oh, I have one more question. So the question is, we've talked about analytics. What analytics tool do you recommend? I'll take this and I'll answer this one first, and then throw it to you, Sam. It's funny, I just had this conversation not yesterday, the day before. Power BI. So Microsoft Power BI. What that is, it's a tool that Microsoft has had for quite some time, and I believe that it's included with Office 365, at least the base level of it. You can buy a higher version of it, but what it does is with the higher version, it's only, I think, a few dollars a month, but it allows you to do a little bit more. I think you can control notifications. You can control a little bit about how you're delivering the data. But the beauty about Power BI is that it doesn't just pulling data from one data set. It has the ability of pulling data from even if you have a structured ERP database, it does that, or even some spreadsheets or other databases you might have. So I mean, most analytics tools do that. But the advantage of Power BI is that the cost is low, the adoption is high, and it's pretty wide. There's wide expertise on that. I mean, if you need more information, I mean, it's something that we've done a little bit, and we have a couple of partner companies that we deal with as well too that actually specialize in that. My thought around that is always to make sure that if you're looking at any kind of an analytics type exercise, make sure that it's relevant for your business. I mean, there's no sense in just doing analytics for the sake of analytics because you've heard about it from the baseball world or the hockey world. The baseball world might not be such a good example right now because the Blue Jays relied a lot on analytics and they're out of the playoffs. So, but anyway, the point being is you have to look at that in context. You can't just go down the analytics path. You have to also have a lot of common sense. But anyway, that's just a little bit about tools. I don't know, Sam, if you kind of run into some tools that
You
that
know, there are a lot of tools that you can use. I mean, it depends on how far you want to take the analytics, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of value in just using what you have in place from a solution standpoint, whether it's Excel, there's ways you can manipulate that. But obviously my perspective is if you're looking at, leveraging some analytics, getting some descriptive analytics or, predictive modeling done or anything, centralize all that information in one area. And how do you do that? You do that with a software. Unfortunately, there's really no workaround to do that. So, as far as, for instance, business solutions, whether you're talking SAP, Microsoft, Oracle, Acumatica, most of these products have some level of analytics embedded into them. Really depends on how you want to go about taking them and how deep you want to get into the analytics, because there's other products out there like Tableau, right? Tableau's killing it in the market as well. I mean, as far as analytics goes and everything, helping automation.
I think business intelligence as a business intelligence tool, I think Tableau would probably be considered one of the, well, I was going to say the leader, but certainly one of the leaders. It tends to be a little pricey. I think it's been, I don't know who owns it now, but it's you can, and there's probably different versions of it, but I think it does tend to be kind of one of the more popular ones.
Yeah, and I think, we can sit here and talk about analytics all day, but I do want to, for the sake of time, we have about 9 minutes left of our sort of weekly rant, so to speak. But why don't we talk about commerce? You know how passionate I am about commerce right now. And, when we talk about commerce systems and commerce opportunities for businesses, people naturally think, I'm going to buy a pair of jeans off the Levi's website, or I'm going to buy a candle from Bath and Body Works, or, some sort of a consumer good. B2B commerce. I want to talk about B2B commerce because everyone knows how shopping, goes. They do their retail therapy, maybe buying some more shoes than they should. Oops. Sometimes I promise. But when you sit there and you think B2B commerce, how can a business-to-business distributor or a manufacturer use B2B commerce? And we just had this happen in the last week. A perfect candidate. Distribution company that resells industrial goods. They sell to the same people in most cases.
Yeah.
This is their scenario. And they have the same sort of list of customers that come and buy the same stuff, same clients, very loyalty, adding a couple new ones every so often. What's the solution? I'm testing you.
Well, before we think about a solution, I want to kind of go back to the business scenario that you just mentioned, because again, it's the business solution or the software technology or whatever, it always has to be based on a reason to do it, a compelling business reason. And I like what you've just said, is that a lot of industrial companies, they are not thinking about commerce, or they're not thinking about e-commerce.
No.
What their thought pattern has been is that, hey, I've been in business for 35 years and we've been successful. We have a great team of people. We've got our salespeople that have personal relationships with all of our customers. Our customers are loyal and they'll buy from us, but we just have to, they're still in a traditional business model where they're, kind of meeting with them, they're going out for lunch and things like that. So what most industrial type customers like that are really not thinking about online commerce or business to business commerce. What we're seeing though is that, and so this COVID stuff has kind of rapidly thrown a little bit of a escalation into the adoption of some of this stuff. And what we've seen is that companies go, holy crap, I can't meet that person for lunch anymore, or I can't go to the office, so I can't, handwrite stuff, or people are not walking into the office. So we're actually seeing a rapid digital transformation of that people are going, and sorry to take a step back. There's been an evolution of doing business electronically like this that we've seen, but we're just seeing a rapid escalation of that. But the idea is that there are a lot of these traditional companies, maybe they've brought on a younger salesperson, or their customers are younger people that are used to using technology, and they go, if I'm going to buy whatever it is, if it's a electronic device, if it's a calibration device, it's a valve or a pipe fitting or things like that, I'm going to go and, I may go to the supplier I've dealt with all the time, or I might just pull up my phone and go to Google, type a search, and some random website from Amazon or eBay, or even just a random website pops up. Well, all of a sudden they start to go there and they get a quote and they realize, hey, the price is better than what I've been dealing with, the company I love and been dealing with for 35 years. But the idea is that that's not too hard of a scenario for any of us to imagine, that how someone could take trusted business relationship and almost set that aside by typing in a quick Google search on their smartphone. And what we want to, so we can see that works. We've bought stuff that way, and whether it's a pair of shoes or starting to be more business stuff. So what we're wanting to do is say, okay, let's not have, even if you're a small company in Calgary, let's not have you get overrun by a competitor that might be in somewhere.
Winnipeg
Yeah, either even in Canada, much less the US or somewhere
or
overseas.
Nova
Well,
Scotia.
get why don't you have a site, whether it's a customer portal where your best customers just go in there and they order the same stuff over and over, and it's far more efficient, or even a kind of more of a commercial e-commerce site that is right these days with this technology. We've got great tools such as Shopify, for example, in Canada, that is a great tool to get up and running quickly for an e-commerce site. But why don't you be that company that they find randomly? So then instead of it losing potential business from a customer that's lived and breathed with you for 35 years, go and get, deal with them better and more efficient, get more business with that customer, but find more like that because you're present in an online search like that. So I'm obviously passionate about this. I think that we can make a huge difference. We as technology providers can make a huge difference in the top line revenue of companies that are traditional distributors of industrial goods just by being present online.
Well, that's what we do, right? I mean, that's our focus. We don't want companies to work with us if they just want an audit trail. No, we're going to push you to sell
Yep.
more if that's what you want to do, right? If not, get the audit trail. There's nothing wrong with that. But our objective is always to help our clients grow. Especially if, for instance, the one customer we have in Edmonton, what is that, like 450% up in sales online after COVID? Once COVID hit, that was, that was insane.
What we found, I mean, and lots of examples of this is that you're either, in those cases, yeah, you're right, their growth was staggering. And so instead of, they basically replaced their walk-up traffic with online.
And they have a big retail shop too. Like they have a big store in Edmonton. And it just, because they allowed their customers to have the option to purchase online, that traffic just shifted. Right. And that was really good on their part. They had a conversation in place earlier, but I mean, as far as even for B2B, like a recurring, transaction, suppliers, we're buying the same thing. Having your customers, I can't even say how many times we have customers say, oh my God, I'm so happy I don't get the calls anymore of, can I get a copy of my last invoice? Customers calling our clients saying, prior to implementing something, but now they have something like a customer portal. Like the customer we have up in Breton, they're working with a customer portal. They've got one in Canada, one in the US for all their clients where they can log in, see their previous transactions, download the latest invoices, see what their outstanding balances are, and directly place orders from that portal. And I mean, we have a video, I think, on that on the YouTube channel, the customer portal video.
Yeah.
They literally you place an order through the portal, boom, it's in your system. So it's a lot, and you're able to do it after hours. So you close.
It's always open. Our store is always open, right?
I think always open.
A good point is that, someone might be doing that search at 9 o'clock at night and the order desk is closed, but maybe you've got a critical piece of equipment down and you just need to order a part, or you've got, whatever products it is you have, but you need to
pick it up in the morning.
Pick it up in the morning, yeah.
Or have it delivered too. Like the options are there. But if you're, you're like, oh, I need this part for tomorrow morning. Okay, well, great. Place the order. Boom, it'll be fulfilled by the morning. Shipping will be notified when they log in that it's ready for pickup.
Yeah.
So pick it off the shelf and be ready for you when you get in.
I have, I see one more question coming in. It's, what are your upcoming podcasts over the next month of October? Sam, can you?
We just released our newsletter
today. Some of the topics?
Yeah, we released our newsletter today. It's our monthly update. It comes out once a month with all of our latest podcasts. You can find the link to our podcast on our website under the events tab, and you can also see the previous podcasts we have on there as well, featuring some of the guest speakers we've had. And if you want to register, you could definitely register to the podcast at any given time. Register to the podcast and you'll automatically be registered for the series. Don't feel pressured to join everyone. The topics are always listed on the website. So if there's something that hits close to home, by all means, join us, collaborate, let us know what your thoughts are. And if you have any advice on future topics, we always want to hear from from our viewers as well.
And we're just wrapping up. We were always diligent around 30 minutes. So we've got 1 minute. Any more closing thoughts, Sam?
You know what I think, no, my closing thoughts are is that, I hope that, there's a lot of businesses out there that are looking to sort of streamline some, operations, become a little bit more efficient. That's always what we're here to do. Even if you feel like there might be a little bit better of a way for you to operate, don't hesitate to call us. And my closing thought, I guess, for today is make sure that that you always have an open mind. Always think openly and never have biased opinions.
Ah, I like that. My quick closing thought is that in obviously there's some stuff going on in the economy right now, whether it's the U.S. election or the COVID stuff. Don't want to really talk about that in a negative way. For as much as there's people that are struggling with things and things like that, and businesses that are, um, we we want to help you change direction. That's all about business agility. Is what positives can we see? I know all of us have taken some time to reflect in our businesses and our personal lives around what's important, and what we're seeing is that companies are coming out of this stronger than ever. So we're here to help you do that, and that would be my closing thought. Any questions, let us know. But we are out of time here. Thanks for
A
joining
minute
us
overdue.
today. Thanks for joining us today in our Ask Us question segment, and hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully, we'll catch you in an upcoming podcast.
Thanks for joining, guys.